Hola, hola, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We can't physically see you at the moment, but we do see you all joining in the call right now. I see that we have about 18 folks currently in the chat right now with us. Thank you so much again for joining us for our very first Lunch and Learn of 2025. If you're new to our community, welcome, bienvenidos. But if you're familiar with Lunch and Learn, thank you again for being part of our community. We're going to give about 2 minutes to allow folks to jump and join us today. So if you want to add in the chat where you're joining us from. My name is Juana Estrada. For anybody here who is not who I am, I'm part of the events department here at Latinas in Tech. And I'll be supporting you all today as we host and moderate today's conversation with Carolina. So we're going to give about 2 minutes before we start. But please add in the chat where you're joining us from. Again, we can't see you physically, so we want to make sure that we know who we're talking to today. I see Natalie. Hi there. Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. I see Laura from Los Angeles. Okay, amazing. We see some people here from LA. I bet the weather out there is amazing. I'm here in Chicago, and it just seems like we cannot get rid of this humid. It's so hot here in Chicago, which again, I'll take this over the snow, so I'm not complaining. We see Bakersfield, California, amazing. Texas, ooh, Chicago in the house too, amazing. Seattle. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. Thank you, thank you. We're going to give about 1 more minute, and then we'll get right into today's conversation. Awesome. So I want to be mindful of the time, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. And just to let everybody know, today's session will be recorded. So if you miss any point today, do not worry. We'll share the recording after today's session. Amazing. So again, thank you so much for joining our Lunch and Learn series. The Lunch and Learn webinars are a virtual event series designed to provide our community with career building tools and resources. So these sessions are actually here for you to help you be prepared for either recruitment or the professional development insights. They're practical, empowering, and most importantly, they're focused on advancing our mission here at Latinas in Tech. Thank you so much for all of you who are here new to our network. I know that we have our amazing team members here, Jamel and Rocio, in the chat. They also have provided you guys with links as far as how you can become a member here at Latinas in Tech to learn more and to connected about events happening here. So thank you so much for joining us today. Now, a big portion of our Lunch and Learns here is to let you guys know about our amazing tool, which is our job board. Now, our job board is a tool that we offer to all of our members for you all to be able to apply for open roles that are currently sitting here in our job board. So to do so, you go to our website and you want to click on the job board dash. And you want to make sure that you also, first and foremost, update your profile. That is super crucial. You want to make sure that you include information about your location, your interests, most importantly to your resume, update your resume onto your profile. And of course, also add links regarding to your LinkedIn, any personal professional websites, and things of that sort. This is super crucial because it's how you're going to be able to connect with our recruiters who we also have on our site. But once you're on our job board and have your profile completely updated, up to date, you go to the click onto job board itself, and then you'll be able to search through different filters of all of the opportunities we have offering to you. So this is all offered to you as a member here at LIT. So you can step through all our opportunities through and search through either functionalities, also through locations, years of experience. So it's a really good tool for you to expand and to see what roles are open. And all of the sponsors who are currently partners with Latinas in Tech offer the job board opportunities as well. Another really cool feature is our company profiles. Through our company profiles, you're able to connect directly to the recruiters at the companies that are currently hiring through our job board. So for example, if you click onto Amazon's profile there, you'll be able to see what they offer as far as benefits, but also too, you can click and connect and send a message to the recruiters from that company. So it's a really good tool. For example, if you want to directly message a recruiter to ask them to chat, invite them for a coffee chat, whatever that may be. And the best part of this feature is you can see the members currently at LIT who work at those companies. So maybe you know a colleague here at LIT that you would like to connect with. You can find them there on a job board profile as well. So again, please, 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 I urge all of you all to update your profiles on latinas.org to ensure that you maximize your professional careers here at LIT. And just a really quick plug, we do have our Lit Recruit event happening on September 18th, happening from 1 to 3 p.m. Pacific. It's our large virtual career fair. So I highly encourage anybody here currently today who is looking to find a job or network with our companies that are currently there to go onto our website, um, latinas.org/event/Lit Recruit 2025. So reminder for all of you all here today. And last but not least, I would love to now open up the floor to our amazing guest speaker today for our Lunch and Learn from Numbers and Negotiation, Financial Empowerment for Latinas and Tech. Gabriela Guias is one of the founders of Ocam Finance. She's an amazing jefa who is here to present to you all the benefits of investment and negotiation. She has a lifespan experience of she has a lifetime experience of both FPL for business consulting and life stage planning. She resides and invests in various different countries and continents, about three of them, and has an extensive experience in investing for pension fundings and plans in over 30 countries. Previously, she served as a financial director at the large S&P 500 company and a fractional CFO for emerging private setups. She currently resides both in San Francisco and also too in Europe. But today she is here with us to share us her knowledge. And thank you so much for your time, Galina, for joining us today.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to go ahead and pass on the mic to you. Give me 1 second.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen. Amazing. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Carolina, founder of Ocam Finance. And today we're going to dive into a topic that is personal, practical, and for many of us, way overdue, which is money and self advocacy. My presentation, the title of my presentation was From Numbers to Negotiation, but you will see that I added a little phrase, which is naive with. I put that there on purpose because we are surrounded in our lives with numbers through our bills, our savings, our student loans. But the reality is that we can still feel naive when it comes to using those numbers to advocate for ourselves. We basically save money in the bank, but we don't know how to invest it for the long term. We work hard in our jobs, but we don't always ask for the pay, benefits, and opportunities that we deserve. And that's the gap I want to help you close today. My goal today is simple. I just want you to feel less naive and way more equipped to use those numbers to your advantage, to negotiate for yourself, both in your personal finances and in your career. Okay, so let's get started. Before, I want to share a little bit of who I am and why I care about this. I was born and raised in Venezuela, in South America. I'm actually a biologist by training. That was my with a master's in environmental sustainability, and that's my first career pivot. Then I did an MBA with a focus in finance. I was able to transition to from science to finance within the same company, which is Procter and Gamble, the one that makes Pampers, Always, Tide, etc. I spent 15 years in the corporate finance world. Ended up working in pensions and retirement for all the most of the countries where Procter and Gamble was participating in. Then I moved to the startup world, and for over 4 years, and it's where I'm advising right now. Became a co-founder very recently with Ocam. I have moved quite a lot. Panama, I'm from Venezuela, but I moved to Panama, Cincinnati, San Francisco, and who knows where. That's to be determined. And this is the most important thing. I was raised by strong women that worked very hard, but I think they were not able to talk about finance in an empowerment way, in an empowered way. I now raising two girls, and I want to be able to change that legacy. And that's one of the reasons why I started this business. And obviously, I'm a proudly and passionately Latina. I didn't grow up talking about finance, about anything basically, because it's not a conversation that we usually had at home. So I didn't talk about salaries, investing, negotiating for a raise. And that means that I had to figure out the messy way through making awkward mistakes, asking questions that I didn't even know how to ask. So that made me uncomfortable. And I felt that Many times I stayed silent instead of speaking up. Um, I founded Ockham Finance out of that frustration. I truly believe that everyone, especially women, deserve to feel confident managing their money and to talk about it without shame. Um, so, what we're going to cover today, I want you to think about this like a blueprint for moving from just knowing about money to actually using it to advocate for yourself. So, the way I thought about this was, let's talk first about the cultural gap. I think that's the mindset and gaps and habits that many of us inherited that are keeping us from play, that are making us play small when it comes to money. Then we're going to unpack the gender and ethnicity gap, especially for Latinas, and what that means for both your personal and your career. From there, we're going to shift to action, how to move from saving to investing, and how to move from meekness to self advocacy. And we're going to talk about your risk tolerance, which is very important both in finance and in your day to day. I hope we can then tackle the elephant in the room, which is the negotiation in terms of your career compensation and how do you actually talk about money at work without feeling rude, greedy, or ashamed. And I'm going to provide some myth busters that I hope are helpful. And by the end of today, I want you to feel a lot more ready to take the next step.
Carolina, I have one question from you here in the chat from one of our attendees. And I think you said you're going to speak on this a little bit, but Nishi asked, hi, Carolina, thank you for your time and for sharing your story. They asked, what helped you personally figure out your risk tolerance when there was no clear guide or support system? And how did you build confidence in your risk decisions when it came to families and fearing of loss?
We're going to talk about that. Risks, and that's why I created one risk tolerance section specifically. It's more simple than you think. The first step for me was to who who am I? No, where do I feel comfortable in both, and not thinking only about finances. No, in general. And I'm going to show you later. This is a self-awareness thing, understanding what is going to let you sleep well at night, and understanding that what works for me, it's not necessarily what works for you. And that translates into both personal finances and having a conversation in your career, no? Because maybe I would recommend you to, hey, you should have negotiated this better and better, go ahead and do this, and you're not that type of person. And you can understand, fine, I think I I should have received more. Let me think how I can do it in my way. First step is to understand, I think I should have received more in this offer. Let me think how is the best way from my risk tolerance, how to approach this conversation. The same happened with investing. But I'm going to talk about that later.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So let's start with the cultural gap. This is very important for Latin Americans. I brought some data about who learns about money at home. I feel like this is the root of so much of our mindset around money. In many Latin American households, saving isn't about the future; it's about making ends meet today. So we grow up basically watching our parents working very hard to cover bills, to put money on the table, and maybe put something away if there's anything left. But it's really not a plan for the long term. And when we do save, we park the money in the bank and then we see the money every day in our savings account to see if it's still there. Because the reality is that in Latin America, we are facing things every day like high inflation, devaluation, instability, political instability, and things that we feel like whatever we're saving today, what's the point if we don't know what's going to be left in the future? That's what's coming from our parents, from our grandparents. And I think that's a lot of what we are passing some a lot to our workforce when we actually get into the workforce, because we carry this mindset of work, earn, spend, work, earn, spend, repeat, and we never learn really how to negotiate our worth or build wealth strategically, no? So And look at the numbers, they're clear. Many Hispanic adults grow up in these households where money isn't discussed as a tool for growth. Compare that to many white households where people talk this in a very natural way. They talk about financial planning, retirement, investments, and even inheritance. It's a normal conversation that we usually don't have at home. And this is when it gets very real, no? There is a gender gap in financial literacy across the board. But for Latinas, I put it in pink. The gap is even wider. There is a 30-point gap between Latinas and white men when it comes to financial literacy. And the good news that this is not learning about finance, it's not finance for your personal investment and for your career empowerment. It's not rocket science. It's not, I'm not good at math. I never learned how to do this. No, it's not about that. It's about confidence to make decisions that work for you and for your future. The first step is to learn how to approach this, and trying to close this gap, because look at what's happening. No, these gaps have a deep impact in Latinas' personal and professional finances, both in life and career. Latina women are less likely to receive financial education at home at school, lead or even participate in financial decision making in their households, regardless of how much you are making. This keep happening even if you are the one that is earning more. You sometimes don't participate in the equal way as your partner in financial decisions in your household. And you are less likely to invest in higher risk or higher return assets. In your career, what's happening is that you're less likely to advocate for promotions compared to white men, and sometimes you don't feel confident negotiating for your pay, better job benefits when accepting a new role, and what what this is turning into is lower returns, lower net worth, lower pay, lower benefits. So, what is the bridge then to move from saving to investing, and from this meekness of passiveness to self advocacy? In my personal opinion, the bridge is financial literacy. Money shapes every major decision: the investments we make, the retirement plan we choose, the job we accept, the raise we negotiate. So, understanding numbers gives you confidence and control. So, this is how I want you to see it today. Very simple. We can move from dormant to advocate in both life and career. So, if we are looking at personal finances, you can move from being a saver to being an investor. You don't have to become an overnight expert. You just need to start step by step. And in your career, you can move from being passive to become a negotiator. And I'm going to share some tools. You don't have to be aggressive, but you have to be clear of what you want. You are your best asset. No one is going to do this for you. You have to do it yourself. So if we move into this first section, which is the how to move from dormant to advocate in your life, that means becoming an investor. And the first step is understanding your risk tolerance. This is not taking wild risks. It's about sleeping well at night because you have a plan. So you need to understand that risk tolerance. This is not about investing in stocks or investing in bonds. It's about knowing yourself. What makes you panic? What makes you sleep well at night? The other point, and I'm going to share some tips as well on this one, is diversify your income, not only your portfolio. When I talk about not putting so many eggs, the eggs in the same basket, we always think like this is investing in stocks, investing in bonds, some in cash, some in X and Y. Not only that, it's also in your income. And I'll share what it means. And plan for your retirement starting now. This is a good thing that we're living longer than ever, but it also means that your money needs to last longer. So you need to put that money to work in a way that supports that longer time after you decide to retire, no? So coming to the question that was at the beginning, so you need to start by understanding your risk tolerance. How do I do that, no? If you already have a conversation with a financial advisor, or you have been in conversations with these platforms that are offered through corporate pensions, which are like Fidelity, Vanguard, that type of thing, they usually have like these colored from low to high risk that usually you can share depending on your age, or how comfortable you are with risk. It's going to tell you if you are a conservative or an aggressive investor. In my opinion, your no, it's not only about your financial mindset in terms of if you're conservative or aggressive. It's about knowing yourself. Your risk tolerance, it's going to tell you how far you're going to push in a negotiation, how you make career or business moves. Knowing this is going to help you feel confident and in control with your money and your choices. This razor quiz that I have here is a free tool that my group put together to define or determine, at least in terms of finance, what that risk tolerance is. But I'm going to tell you like a personal example. No, my husband is more risky than myself. So even though I want to invest in a company, I don't want to invest in certain instruments, financial instruments that I know what they are. I just don't fully understand in a way that I can explain it or feel comfortable. I know that I'm walking away from some return, but that's okay. That's okay. It's not my thing. It's not going to help me to sleep well at night. So it doesn't work for me. It's in the same family, and we come to an agreement that I cannot play in this type of instruments. You can play in this type of instruments, or I don't like this type of company. I don't see the value. I don't like the values of that company, so I don't want to buy anything in that company. But I do know some companies that I go every day. Like I always give the example that I always go to Costco. It's a company that if they move that chicken out of the end of the aisle, or they increase the price to 4.99, I know that something is happening because I know Costco perfectly. So those are the type of companies that I would not recommend you to invest in, but those are the ones that, according to my risk tolerance, I'm good and I feel good about it just because I understand them. So for me, the first step is understanding yourself, understanding the things that you want to be part of or investing in. I want to share like the first myth related to this is that investing is only for the privileged, for the bankers, for finance people with fancy degrees. At least for me, who my first title was in biology, that was a myth that myself I had to bust, because you can learn everything. It's not that complicated. If they make it complicated for you, then that's not the right person to explain this for you. It should not be. Investing is for everyone, with a plan for their future. You just need to get access to that knowledge. Okay. This is the other thing that I was telling you before. No, we think diversification only means owning different stocks, but it's bigger than that. Diversify your income too. I was telling you that I have been in corporate and I love having my a 9 to 5 job and having my insurance with my corporation, and that's great. But I also had something on the side. You can build, you can upskill, and study a little bit. You can have skill that you can monetize. You can have a side project that you would like to work on that is also a passion. It's not about hustling nonstop. It's about having options and resilience. I believe that if one thing slows down, you don't panic. You have other levers that you can pull, and that's true security. So think about when people tell you diversify, not only your portfolio. And when I say portfolio, just to put it into basic terms, is if you have an investment, the portfolio is how much of the $1,000 that I want to save, I'm investing in stocks, like in the S&P 500, how much I'm investing in bonds, how much I'm investing in cash, how much I'm living in cash, no? And that diversification, it's what they call diversification of your portfolio, different type of assets, and within the different type of assets you can also have different type of companies, different industries, different companies, not only everything in tech. That is diversification. This is what that I'm recommending you today. It's taking that diversification to the next step and thinking that, okay, I have my job. What else I like to do that I can monetize or that I can grow, that could give me some peace, and that is also investing. No, whatever you want to invest, it could be real estate, it could be starting to think about that skill that you have that you would like to monetize. So think about this idea, because it's important to start diversifying that income as well. Now, we're going to move to this self advocate concept. I want you to move from that passiveness to become a negotiator when we talk about your career. The first recommendation or topic that I want to share is you need to navigate equity compensation. You will see that, and probably you're familiar that you have the base salary, but when a company offer you a package, they're going to offer you full compensation that comes usually with equity and other things, or while you are growing in your career within the same company or moving from one to the other, you will have different options. Don't take this for granted. Just as understand what it means, understand how much is the compensation, how much is the equity by level, how competitive that package is versus other places, versus other levels within the same industry. Actually, in California, you can, it's public when you go into LinkedIn and everything, you know, that is public, the range that you have for salary, not necessarily the compensation, but you can actually have this conversation during the interviews, or when you get the offer. No, ask for more. The worst that could happen is that they say no to that ask. Gain the confidence to negotiate effectively for what you deserve. It's okay, just be clear. It doesn't feel aggressive. You can reduce your tone, but being clear, it's fine. It's nothing is going to happen. It could say no, we don't have the budget, we don't have the room for that, what you're asking for. It's okay. And please, I know that it's the market is hard now to find a job, but if you get a bad offer, walk away from it. Re- Learn how to recognize it. Sometimes an offer doesn't align with your worth, or what you're hearing, or the values of the company that you're hearing from, or you're getting this offer from, are not completely aligned. There's something there that you didn't like, or something about the conversation and the compensation that didn't quite. Walk away from it. It's just gonna, that feeling's just gonna keep growing and growing. No, let's look at this myth that really are related to the career. No, this is one that I wanted to put first because it drives me crazy. I should be grateful. Yes, but you can be grateful and still advocate for yourself. Gratitude doesn't pay the bills. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. So, gratitude and fairness can coexist. You deserve to be paid fairly. Again, advocate for yourself. You're your best asset. This is the buster. Money isn't taboo, silence is. Look at this number. Women, especially Latinas, are taught to avoid talking about money. We're told it's tacky, aggressive, or ungrateful. Women receive 63% lower offers than men for the exact same role. Talking about money strategy. This is not on the companies. This is on you. They have a budget, usually it's a range, and you can negotiate and have this conversation. But you need to know how much, you need to know Can I ask for more? You can always ask for more. And honestly, the companies are looking for some, they are expecting some negotiation. This is the other myth that I wanted to share. Negotiating is rude. Negotiating isn't risky. It is expected. And the companies and the employers, when they are having a conversation with you, they are expecting to have this negotiation. It's part of the process. The right employer anticipates this conversation, and they're getting this conversation from men. You just have to talk about money without shame. I'm not saying that it's easy. It's not easy. It takes practice. I'm just telling you that out there, other people, usually men, are doing it without feeling ashamed, without feeling that they are ungrateful. It's okay to do it, and companies are supporting that process because with negotiations, something else that happens is that it's also a reflection that you're going to be able to negotiate within your teams. You're going to be able to have a conversation with something you think you can get more, not only in compensation in general. And if you're able to speak up and have this conversation during your compensation process and during your hiring process, it also tells that you are able to have this type of negotiation conversations when you're working in a project. Here's the buster. No finance background is required, but definitely we need to do the homework. I'm sure that when you're going into a job interview, you're practicing, you're looking for examples, you're looking for projects that actually support that you have the requirements to do this job. I want you to stop this limiting belief that says, I'm bad with money. I was never taught how to do finances. Going into the stock market is super hard. Reframe this. I'm learning to own my worth. I'm learning how to do this and this. I was also having a quick chat with Juana before about all the options that are out there, especially now with AI, that we don't even know how to start, where to start looking, no? And it feels kind of overwhelming. But it's step by step. So if we're talking about compensation, then the first step is understanding how much I'm worth for this role. How much is this? How much should I get paid for this role? Um, in the same context, in the same industry, in this state, how is the range of payment in this? How should I say this and that? And then practice. And this is the next slide that I brought. This is what I would say, like, take a picture, write it down. These are the three that I've practiced myself. Maybe other phrases work for you, but you have to do it in front of the mirror. You have to practice and say this out loud. These are the three that worked for me. And I'm gonna say it out loud, and you're gonna say, "Well, I'm not sure I would say this, but I'm 100% sure that the people that are in the process of hiring, they are used to hear these phrases and others." So here are the three that I recommend you to keep practicing. Based on my research, I was expecting a range closer to. And do you know that because you did your research, you did your homework, and you know how much is that range for your state, for that level in that industry. It's not the same in tech that it's outside tech. Can we revisit the equity component? And because you already navigated what an equity compensation is, and you already know how much is equity versus base salary, at least you have an idea. And if you don't know, they are there to explain you. But you can ask, can we revisit the equity component? I'm excited about this opportunity, and I want to make sure that the offer reflects my value. You already got your offer. You're not quite there yet. It's okay. You want to say that you actually want to be part of this team, but there's a room that you of negotiation that you see there. It's totally fine. And again, you don't have to have it all figured out, but you do need to be prepared. So this is what I've covered so far, no? I want you to think that it's possible to move from a dormant to a negotiator, both in life and career. And we are going to do this by understanding our risk tolerance, which there are different tools. The one that my group created, it's just one that is going to tell you from 1 to 100. This is uh, this is how conservative or aggressive I think I am. And there are many things to identify in what area you are. Sometimes that changes also through life. People in their 20s and 30s are more willing to invest in high risk assets than people that are closer to retirement, and that makes sense. The main reason for that is because when you're closer to retirement and you're investing in a high risk asset, you don't have the time to sit and wait for that asset to recover. So, for example, if you're investing in stock, what happens is that they usually come back over time. It happened recently when the tariffs news hit, and the market sank, but then it came back. But sometimes when you are older, closer to retirement, like in your 60s, 65, you don't have the stomach to wait and say, hey, look at all my money went down in one day. Usually the market comes back, but what happens is that might take more time to do it. So that risk tolerance changes if you are a man, if you're a woman, if you're a Latina or not Latina, if you're living with your parents and then you have to save more money to take care of someone, or if you are getting married or you're having kids or not having kids. So depending on the life stage that you are, that also impact the risk tolerance. So that I'm conservative doesn't mean that I was conservative when I was 20. I might be more conservative now, no? Income diversification, this is one that I think usually you don't hear. You usually hear portfolio diversification. And here I'm recommending you to think about income diversification. Don't just sit in your corporate job thinking I got it all figured out. Have something on the side. Feel comfortable to invest. Feel comfortable to either, as I told you, get a skill that can be monetized, especially when you have a full time job. That's the perfect moment to have something on the side because you actually don't need it. And it's just something that you're building that can help you if you have to pull the trigger. So here we have been talking about how to become a negotiator, moving away from that couch, moving away from that feeling that because I'm a woman that is going to negotiate, I'm going to sound aggressive, I'm going to sound rude, or I'm going to sound ungrateful. It's not true. You have to change that into a negotiation mindset, reframing your beliefs about money. It's not easy, especially for people that come that have Latin American parents or grandparents, because of what I told you. We're just not raised that way. We didn't learn how to talk about money at home, and sometimes it felt something secretive. So and disrespectful to talk about how to negotiate, or when did you get this job, are you being paid well, but people don't talk about retirement. Make it normal, normalize this conversation, and own the conversation. It's fine, everyone else is doing it, promise. And and discuss your finances strategically, no? Because your money story is yours to rewrite. You don't need to master finance to change your life. I did it, and I think if I was able to do it, you can do it. If my background was in biology and sustainability, and I did study finance later, but after learning that it wasn't that hard, I was tired of hearing people talking in such a complex way that I felt so small in the room that I was like, what is this? Why? I don't get it. And I later on, when I was able to get my confidence, I realized that the problem was on them, on the people explaining. If someone, this happened with your financial advisors, if you get one, if they get to a point that is so complicated what they're saying, that is not the right financial advisor for you. They need to be able to put it down to the level that you understand. If that level is not there, it's not the financial advisor, and then you need to find another one. If you want to recommend someone else to your parents because they feel more comfortable speaking in Spanish, there are a lot of financial advisors that are bilingual, and they are able to not only translate but bring this down to earth for any age and any person. And if they are not doing it, someone else will be able to do it. And something very important that comes with financial literacy is that it gives you the power to say, I'm not interested in this instrument. This doesn't work for me. It happens a lot when people tell you, have you invested in Bitcoin? Do you know crypto? Do you know this and that? Are you investing in this company or that? And you're like, am I missing out? Is it FOMO? And if you understand, you're able to say, yes, I understand, but it's not for me. I understand crypto, it's not for me. I rather invest in something like index. I want to do something like it's mirroring this S&P 500. And it's okay not knowing what is mirroring the S&P 500. Like if you are a software engineer, probably in your career you didn't fully learn about finances, which is fine, but it's easy to know what is an index, how to buy an index, how to buy um, an instrument in the stock market that is mirroring an index. Anyone can do it. Promise. It's not that complicated. And if you find someone that says complicated, it's not the truth. You just need to start talking about it with yourself, your peers, and your employers. And if it comes to negotiation, practice, practice, practice. Give it the time to practice the phrases that work for you in front of the mirror, the same time that you're giving to practice your projects and the type of thing that you're when you're doing this preparation when you're trying to get a new job. No. Um, Basically, this is what I wanted to cover today. You don't have to do this alone. As I told you, I created this company with my co-founders, but you can take the first step yourself toward financial advocacy. We created this razor quiz. I'm leaving here the link. And then book a free consultation. What I'm doing with and this book free consultation could be in any of the four pillars that we have developed financial education in, which is investing in stocks and life stage planning, which are the two that I covered the most today. Also in real estate investment, or even if you in the future want to become like an angel investor, or starting your own business, or doing a startup, that also requires some learning about finances that are important to understand, and they are not that hard. um, we are sharing a QR code so you can have this free consultation. And if you want to continue on our mentoring and educational program, we have added a 20% coupon if you want, just for being part of this conversation today. I'm open for any questions if you. Oh, there are some questions here. Let's see. Are there any tools or resources you personally use or recommend to personal finance? Yes. So in terms of first, you need a budget. So any type of budget, it's helpful. Um, it doesn't have to be that complicated. You can just track your expenses and your save and then save some money and put some money aside. And then if you want to invest like in the stock market, there are some brokerage accounts where you can create and start investing in. The four that I'm more knowledgeable in are like E-Trade, Robinhood, which has actually become more and more used lately because it's easy. It's through an app. E-Trade, Fidelity, Vanguard. I applied for a position within my current company that provided a pay range in the description. I got the job and they offered me a higher salary because they consider the years I've been with the company. I still wanted to negotiate for a higher salary, but people told me not to because they already offer more than what they initially shared in the job description, and I could be perceived as ungrateful. Yes, so that's exactly what I was saying before. You can always ask, and they're gonna say yes or no. There is a budget usually behind any job description, and it's the interesting part here is because people told me, again, risk tolerance also applies to how much you're willing to ask. Okay, maybe your parents would say, don't say anything else, stop right there, you should be grateful you got your job. It's on them to say yes or no. It's not like they're going to take away the offer because you're asking for more. They are just going to say no. What advice do you have for anyone who might feel late in learning how to build wealth or confidence? I was telling Juana that one of my students is 73 years old. She's awesome. She was willing to, she obviously is living with some income from her retirement, but she always felt she was late, or she was missing out because her husband never, um, I'm not going to say let her, but she never had the opportunity to learn how to invest in stock. So she is so willing to not only learn, but she's investing in stocks that she is familiar with. And she's actually learning about AI tools and everything. Obviously, for her, it's more learning, but at any age you can do it. It's fascinating. Uh, is buying a home these days part of the risk tolerance equation, or where does this fit in? Yes. So with real estate, is interesting because our parents, like my parents, usually said you have to invest in real estate, like they call it, in blocks, no, in cement, because that's something that you can touch, that's right there. So while investing in bonds or stock, that's something that I cannot see, it's in the computer. That's what my mom used to say, no. And it's funny because investing in real estate, I would say that's just, again, my personal understanding and feeling. Um, it's it's a great idea, especially in this diversification of the portfolio, but it's not liquid. It's not as fast. You cannot sell an apartment or a house as fast as you can sell a stock, or take your money out of your checking account, right? So if I'm in an emergency and I want to use those savings that I have, and my savings are in real estate investment, it might take months to get that money from selling that real estate asset. So the liquidity component is very important when you bring the real estate into your portfolio. But at the same time, because it's not that liquid, it's also helping you to not touch that potential money that you have right there. So the same thing that makes the real estate negative, it makes it positive. So that's why it's good to have it as part of the portfolio, but not the only thing that you have in your portfolio, because it's not liquid enough. You cannot get that money when you need it. A lot of people advise me to invest in ETFs, but I don't. So ETFs, let me tell you very simple what an ETF is. I did a video. Our LinkedIn, our Instagram account is mostly in Spanish right now, but so I made a video. Think about the S&P 500. I'm gonna give you the example with the index, which is the S&P 500, which is an index, and an index is basically um, like a basket of products. In the case of the S&P 500, this is the basket of the main companies in the US. Within those main companies in the US, you actually might have only tech. Those only tech companies are trading in NASDAQ, and that's a different basket. Okay, but let's use the S&P 500 as an example. You have the index. At the end of the year, that you have these pre-made baskets in the supermarkets or in the I don't know, in Macy's, that you can buy the basket that has let's use the example of the supermarket that has one pound of rice, 1 pound of this, 1 pound of that, and but it's a pre-made basket. It has, like, it's to give it away. No, it's a basket with all the different things on it. Think about that. The index, this is the S&P 500, but it's the exhibit. It's in the exhibition. You cannot buy the exhibit. The ETF is the exact replica of the S&P 500, of that basket, that you can actually buy, because the index, which is the S&P 500, it's there to watch it, to see how the market is doing, and it's showing you this market with all these companies in one single basket, but you cannot buy it. The ETF is the one that you can buy, that mirror the S&P. So the ETFs are the ones that you can actually buy, that are mirroring something else. What could I learn more about what other people make in similar positions? Well, in California, it's in LinkedIn and Indeed, they have to put the range. It's mandatory. And in other um, states, not that much. Probably in Reddit, you will find some data there. But in California, it's public. They have to. Uh, when it comes to negotiation skills, what are some phrases you have seen work well when someone wants to advocate for a raise without sounding aggressive? So when you're not in the hiring process, but asking for a raise, the first advice is that find the right moment. If you're having a conversation with your manager and it's a one-on-one, when they are about to give you feedback because you're coming out of a meeting that didn't go that well, it's not the moment. No, and it seems obvious. I'm just giving a crazy example, but sometimes it's not the right moment. But sometimes is, and you have to find that moment. And in some companies, in most of the companies, you have big companies, you at least have one review of results every year, and in some tech companies, every 6 months you have a review of results. Right after that review of results is a good moment to have this conversation if it wasn't brought to you, and you bring it to. I would like to talk a little bit about my um, compensation at this moment. I think you have to be prepared with, these are the results of the year. This, I think I'm ready, and I would like to revisit my compensation at this point. It's a conversation that it's sometimes difficult, but you have to practice it, and managers are ready to take this conversation. Um, uh, My company had a friend with the same background as me. However, I have more experience and larger brands behind me in the tech world. She was hired this week, a starting wage of 20K more than me. Yeah. I know I'm worth this, if not more. And I'm scared, but I now need to advocate for myself. Is a large jump like this even feasible? Do you mean, so I think what you're meaning here is if, uh, remember the one of the examples that you have to walk away from bad offers. First, my advice in this case is you're always going to have this feeling that you're undervalued. That doesn't go away. So this is the type of bad offer, no, that you have to walk away from. You have to give this company the opportunity to know that you know. Um, if you manage this data that usually is not available, that usually you don't know exactly what your peers are making, and it's based on negotiation at the beginning, like during the hiring process, and it's a combination of experience um, and longevity over time, and years in the same area, etc. But if you already know that you're undervalued, you have to bring this conversation with the manager that you have, and saying upfront that you manage this data, that you have this information, and you know that you're underpaid based on benchmark, because you do have a benchmark now, you have data now. And if that doesn't come out well, and they say sorry, you have to wait for the next um, raise or review of results, um, then start benchmarking other companies probably. And I think I covered one of most of the questions.
Hi, yes, I think that we are pretty much at all of our questions now. We do have a couple minutes left. If anybody else has any more questions they would like to ask, I am reviewing the chat. Looks like all of our questions were answered. Thank you so much for your time, Carolina. Honestly, the insight you provided today was super invaluable. I think a lot of people also were very interested in learning more. So hopefully, this is the first of many that we can collaborate with. And like mentioned earlier, this session is recorded, so we'll be sharing a post-event email with the recording. We'll also include this QR code that is found here on the screen for you to scan. That way you can connect with Carolina and her team if you're looking forward to doing a consultation, but also to take advantage of the code provided here. She's offering us 20% off with this unique code that's here, and that will also be added to the email that was on the post-event email.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for your time. Any final words you would like to share before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this. This is just a tiny bit. Of course, in an hour, we cannot share all the tools and advices. And more than advices, I always say um, this access to financial literacy that I was telling you, that is going to give you, it's going to break this myth, and it's going to open so many doors, and it's going to give you that feeling that I can do this, it's not that hard. That doesn't mean that you're going to become a financial advisor yourself, not at all. Especially in the US, with all the tax implications that equity and salary, base salary have, it's important that you have an advisor, a qualified advisor. But if you have the understanding of what you're having, with the conversation that you're having with this financial advisor, that changes the entire thing. Like having a conversation with someone that is managing your money, you need to know what you guys are talking about, because it's your money, the one that you earned. So you need to be able to ask the right questions. And if those questions are not being answered correctly, or if they are being explained too fast, or in using complex jargon, it's not the right person for you. There's someone else right out there that has been able to offer you something different. And it's okay to say, hey, I'm not understanding. It's not you, it's the person that is providing the service or the explanation.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful that we have you and especially your organization and tools like this that can help equip us, because definitely I agree 100%. When we feel overwhelmed with so much information and options, it can be very jarring, but to have these tools is like such as yourself, it's super invaluable to our growth for sure.
Yeah, one of the I was gonna share something quick on the student that I was telling you, that's 73. One of the
Yes.
classes is, and in Yahoo Finance, you're able to build a portfolio without putting any money. So you can actually say, how if I wanted to have Lululemon, Costco, Nvidia, all these companies, you can put it there and do like a fictional portfolio
Yeah.
without putting any money. And when we put all the companies that she wanted to understand, obviously it comes with this crazy view with ups and downs and all P over E and market valuation and all these things that first moment she was like, this is the thing that I cannot manage, this is super complicated. That hour was entirely going, column by column. And that's why it's important it's a company that like, do
Mhm.
you know, like if it's I don't know, Lululemon, because that's the one that my daughter loves. No, it's this is the value of Lululemon, so it means like the pie is this is the pie, and it was divided into these pieces, and these pieces, this is how the price is established, and then what a dividend is, and you go column by column, and it's okay. And it took an hour. It's only, but at the end of the day, it only took an hour for her to understand what all those numbers were. And then
Right.
next class, she was like, Okay, I'm not interested in Lululemon. I'm interested in this and this and this. Let's see how this look like. But she was not afraid of those pictures anymore because she could read what they were. No, it's gonna say 52-week performance. Okay, what is it's a year of performance. What is a fundamental analysis? You don't have to do that analysis. You just have to understand different things. You don't have to become a day trader. It's fine, but you have to understand this list of things, and it's
Mhm.
not that hard.
Right. Right. The power of knowledge
The
definitely
power of
empowers.
choice and knowledge.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We are at time. Again, thank you for your time. I'm going to leave this screen up for just one more minute, but everybody who is still here on the call, please, 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 I highly encourage you to scan it. But if you are unable to, we'll be sending an email to you shortly today with the more information and the recording of the session. But thank you so much for your time, Carolina.
Thank you, Juana.
Have a good rest of your day, everyone. Bye.